Welcome to the Babies in Business Podcast. Join your hosts, Rachel and Avram Gonzales, real-life parents and business partners. Each week on Babies in Business, Rachel and Avram create a space for entrepreneurial parents to find their own way. They'll dive into insights on topics like leadership, efficiency, self-awareness, budgeting, and human psychology as they nurture their family and build their business. Here's your hosts, Avram and Rachel.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah, it's when advertising tries to get you to spend all your money on things that you and your family don't actually need.
Or want, really, in your house.
But you're really convinced that you do. This podcast episode's about rethinking holiday gifting, and we thought because we've been rethinking it, maybe you or somebody you know might be rethinking some of the craziness and the pressure around it too. And we just wanted to offer a different perspective and show you and tell you about how we're doing things different this year. Who knows, maybe we'll do a recap episode. But I think that where we're headed, we're not going to have any regrets.
Yeah, I just think really the topic, why we were talking about this today, is because we've had a lot of things change in our life, our priorities, and being clear on that and making those things going to happen. Like, we're saying yes to having more time with our boys and less stuff, and really getting what we want, looking at the heart of what we want and really getting those things, as opposed to like those surface level things like, is it really gifts that we want, or is it more time with each other and experiences? What is that thing?
Yeah, and we're recording this now. It's before Thanksgiving. This will air middle of December. And we were laughing the other day about how Thanksgiving is supposed to be about gratitude. And what do we end up doing on Thanksgiving? We end up celebrating with our actions gluttony.
Yeah, and I mean, you can feel really, in the past for me, it's like, gosh, I feel so full, and I'm not feeling grateful. I'm actually feeling a lot of regret in my body for having consumed so much food or so many things that are really sweet and really, honestly, not good for you. So I love what we've done with our discussions this month.
Yeah, we looked at, well, how can we celebrate and honor what we believe is the spirit of Thanksgiving, which is based on gratitude.
Yeah.
And how can we line our actions up with that?
My thought was, too, is that what are we grateful for? Well, I'm grateful for the ability to cook really good food at our house instead of buying pre-made things or things with preservatives, that we can really control what we put in our bodies by cooking at home. Mm-hmm. So I love that. And then also I was thinking, too, maybe we turn the holiday around, and instead of having things for us, buying more things or using our money to get food and food that we really don't even like anyway, if we're going with the holiday tradition, maybe turning that around and providing that for somebody that does care about it but doesn't have the money to provide it for themselves.
Right.
So the thought process for me kind of began there, because I was just kind of sick of just going through the motions of celebrating this holiday, and possibly with the prospect of celebrating with just you, me, and our boys. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can feel like, well, what do we do?
It's just us.
How do we honor this holiday or celebrate this holiday and what we want to have? And then it made us start thinking about traditions. What do we want in the future? Like, mm-hmm. How do we want to teach our boys this gratitude that we want to instill in them, as opposed to gluttony?
Yeah. Well, so then we started thinking about Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, and taking a step back from it, realizing that there is just, a lot of times we don't even question the pressure that we feel. In particular, the focus of this pod is around gift giving. And if you think about it, how much of the pressure to gift and get really nice things for the people that you love is stemmed from a culture that's formed through advertising.
Yes.
So there's no secret that there's a ton of money in advertising that goes into the holidays because of this. And every year it gets a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. The craze gets a little bit crazier. The Black Friday deals aren't even on just Black Friday anymore. They're like rolling out after Halloween.
I was just going to say that when you were going on about this. So my thought was, we are in the thick of Black Friday week. It's not even Black Friday anymore. It used to be the Friday after Thanksgiving. It was one-time deals. They were really deep discounts, all these things. But slight tangent, have you ever noticed this thing? Like, we have a board game that we've wanted to buy in forever. We love board games, and those are things that we love to collect and play. And we've noticed the price at whatever price it is during the year, and then come Black Friday, they actually upped the original price, and then with the deep discount, whatever it's like 25%, whatever that is, it brings it down to just below what it used to sit at.
So you're really getting a 5% discount.
Yeah, marketing does this crazy thing. We see 25% off, but is it really? And then you feel because it's a deal, maybe you should do it. There's so many things that go into all this advertising, and really what we came down to was we don't really want to gift things. We would rather have an experience with our boys, with each other, with the people that we love, as opposed to, hey, I got you a gift, and you look back years to come and it's like, I have this thing. Or maybe I don't have it because it wasn't really that useful or interesting in the first place. And where did it come from?
Yeah. Well, so you take the culture that advertising has bred in people, and then you look at how it's affecting individual families, right?
Yes.
So every family then is now, it's like, well, so what are we going to get for this person? What are we going to get for this person? And now it's like this, it's instead of it being like this is for the joy of gifting,
Right.
you find yourself feeling obligated.
Right.
Which is a weird place to gift from.
Yeah.
Or like you're like, okay, well, we gotta check this box. Like, we need to get something for this person.
Right.
What do we get for them?
Right. How do we show them that we love them?
All
or
this
that we care about
stuff,
them, or we
right?
want to continue that relationship?
So it's like, well, what is the purpose of all this? Like, what does it really mean? And I think it means something different to different people. But
Right.
when we were talking about it, it's like, well, what is the purpose of gifting from our perspective with Christmas? And it's like, well, when I give a gift, what I'm really seeking is some kind of connection with the person. So I know there's lots of reasons for gifting, but one of the things that's important to us in it is that it fosters a connection.
Yeah, and that's really what marks success in the gift giving. If it is a gift that we're giving, does it meet that goal of connection? And you were saying sometimes we gift out of the the necessity or the
This is just what we've always done.
Yeah, exactly. So we've never actually questioned it to see if it makes us happy. So if we went on that same mentality, I have 10 siblings and I have over 40 nieces and nephews. I think I might have 5 great nieces and nephews.
Wow.
So that's 50 plus. And if you think about giving a gift to each and every one of them, well, either you're spending a very little bit to go a long ways, or you're spending a lot and you just can't gift everybody. So you're picking and choosing, and then you're choosing favorites, and then you hurt somebody's feelings. But that is if you have this big family and it matters that you gift to everybody. So it's really honing it down, bringing it back to what is the intention. Are these people you want to build a relationship with and keep it going? And what would you like to do that? So it may be maybe going and visiting them during the year. It could be on a vacation, you go to see the sibling or that person. It could be something like that, as opposed to during this time of year and Christmas and the holidays that you go in and buy these things.
Yeah, well, you get a really stellar gift for somebody, and it will build a connection. Maybe it's personalized or it's just it's special, but like, how many gifts do you end up giving that are that special to somebody versus just giving them what is essentially an object that they kind of forget about after you've given it to them? Yeah. Or they'll think about you when they wear it or when they use it, but it's like, do you really feel connected through it, right? So we were in this whole questioning of things, we were looking at like something that was said by Rachel Cruz, who's the daughter of Dave Ramsey, if you know Dave Ramsey. And she was talking about on their podcast how they don't do gifts between the adults anymore.
I love that.
Right, and she said, well, like, it's like the thing, we're old enough, like, we can buy the things for each other and for ourselves that we want.
Yes.
Why are we still gifting each other things when we all have, more or less, the things that we already want and need?
Right. Yeah,
What, like,
I love that perspective. I just love that perspective. When you shared that with me because you'd listened to that podcast, I loved that perspective because it actually puts into question things that sometimes we don't question.
Yeah, it's like, I'm 37, 38 years old. I don't know how old I am, but like, why am I still gifting my parents? Why are they still gifting us? We're not children anymore.
Yeah, correct.
And we were talking about this too, and this is no offense or anything, right?
No.
It's like, I kind of feel like a child when I'm receiving gifts from my parents, and I now have children.
Right.
And it's just, it was just an interesting thing now that I only noticed it since we had kids.
Yeah.
Before that, I didn't notice that.
Well, and I think that it's also something where we want that energy pointed at our boys instead of us. We would love for them to gift and love on our boys as opposed to us, because we can take care of ourselves, and we do. And we take care of our boys too, but we also want our boys to feel the love from Grammy and Grandpa.
And so, like, the things that we would rather do with Grammy and Grandpa, we already started doing that this year.
Right.
Going to the balloon fiesta.
Yes.
Right. So what Grandma and Grandpa did this year is they were like, no, we are buying the tickets for balloon fiesta, and you guys are coming. We want to tag along. It was like, okay, cool. That is an experience that will live on.
Absolutely, and that was great. Lincoln loves it.
And
he
guess
loved
what?
It so much.
We all got to go for tickets are like $15 a pop or something like
Right,
that.
something.
There is no gift that you're going to give somebody for $60
Right.
that is going to build more connection than that entire magical morning at the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta.
Exactly. That really set it off for me, for us, that this is exactly the kinds of things that we want in our life.
Right? Yeah, and it's like...
Well, and then also, I think that also stemmed, you had started having that conversation with your mom at a lunch. So instead of also giving your parents gifts for their birthdays, which are in October, we chose that you would go and take them to lunch.
Yeah.
And you just have some conversation with them and include them in your life. And I just think at the point in their life too that all they want is time with you.
Connection.
Yeah.
It's not the thing.
No.
Think about how lame, comparatively, the thing would be.
Correct.
Versus the couple lunches that I've had with my mom.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, I'm speaking for your mom here, but I think it's meant a lot to her.
Yeah.
She really appreciates it. And every time you meet with her, you set up another one about a month out.
Yeah.
And then you go to different places and get to have a conversation with her one-on-one, not interrupted by Pat or me or the boys or anything. Not that they're interruptions, but it allows for a different kind of connection to be built. And she really loves you and miss it.
Well, and like, speaking of those lunches, one of the things that came up in one of our recent lunches is she said, I want you to know and remember that your dad and I, we would love to gift the boys education.
Yes.
Right? She said, it doesn't really matter to me where it is, if it's Montessori or something else. You can do the research, and like, your dad and I have got that. And that spoke volumes too, because we read this book a couple years ago. It's called The Millionaire Next Door. It's full of stats and full of all this information about how wealth is really created.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was studied in that book was when wealthy families give too much to their children, the children grow up and don't know how to manage the money, and they lose it all.
What is it, outpatient care?
Yeah, adult
outpatient care. So then they end up paying for the car payment and the house payment and the way that they live. And if they have this great house, then they have to have this great car, and they have to,
Yeah.
keeping up the appearances with their children.
But
they talked about that.
But the one thing that they found that did not follow that same correlation of you gift a lot and then it has this consequence
Right.
was education.
Yes.
And they found that education was the one thing that superseded all of that, if that's the right word.
You could gift as much as you
could
wanted.
gift as much as you want, and it doesn't affect that child's development in becoming independent.
Right. And being able to step out in the world and provide for themselves and not need you.
Correct.
That they too can go out and have the success that you had for themselves in whatever way that looks for them, instead of keeping up with the appearances.
Yeah.
But the education, I just loved that.
Yeah, and I think that does tie in closely to the experiences, right? We were reading some stuff recently that said something like the average child ages 1 through 5 will receive something like 70 new toys a year. 70 new toys a year. And that's like 350 toys by the time that they're 5. And, we've joked about this on previous podcasts where we're like, have to pack up some of Lincoln's toys and rotate them out, and then they go out in the garage, they go up in the attic, he forgets about them, and then when you bring them back out, you do another rotation like a month or two later, he's like, oh, this is incredible. The gifts become new again.
Well, I think it's really cool when we do that rotation, we're reducing the amount of toys that he has, and then we're also taking some out so that they can become new again. Also, it's kind of the intention of not just continually buying them, having some toys that he likes, and then rotating them back in. What we found this last time that we rotated was, as I was going through his toys, I would pick up this car and I was like, this has a specific name that he's given it.
Right.
And this has a specific name. So I had I would say about 30 cars. 30
cars, probably.
That he touches daily because he loves them so much. So the cars stayed inside this rotation, and it's been really cute to see how he has touched every single one of them single day.
Almost every day.
Pretty much every day. There are a couple that he won't, like if they're some of his big dump trucks and stuff. But it's really interesting to see how even in kids, and I know that a lot of people harp on this, and they, less is more with kids.
Sure.
That they'll be more creative with less and simple stuff. So I think it's really cool that he also gets to have different kinds of experiences when he doesn't have all these toys in all around him, because when all of the toys are out, because heaven forbid he should find a tote that I transitioned to the garage but didn't get up in the attic so it was visible when he went out and saw it, he wanted them back in.
To pull them
and
all
then
back
it
in.
just blew the house up with toys. And then you notice how he plays with less and less, even his cars that he really likes.
Correct.
So then it's just been a really fun experiment that we've done with him.
It's really coming full circle, isn't it? Because, we're watching this behavior and we're helping cultivate it by changing the environment. And we're like, I start asking questions about, so what is the grown-up version of this?
Yes.
And what are we really contributing to with the culture of gifting? And in a lot of ways, I think over-gifting and gifting when it's not, it's not the right time or the right, I can't find the words.
It's just, it's gifting for the sake of gifting. And then, you just have so many things. I would rather have experiences and relationships and choose who that's going to be, and,
the people
deciding what this tradition and holiday season looks like.
Yeah. The people that are listening to this right now, where their love language is gifting, there's a part of them that's dying inside right now.
Yes.
Right? And this is not about killing that part.
No, it's not about getting rid of gifting.
No, it's about being more aware of how you're gifting, what you're gifting, when you're gifting, why you're gifting.
We specifically have two people in our life that love gifts.
Yeah, we do.
We have your mom,
Yep.
and we have our nanny.
Yep.
They love gifts. That is their love language. Then there's your dad. He loves time, quality time.
Acts of service.
He loves acts of service.
So if you
correct.
cook him a meal, it's like the greatest thing ever.
Yes.
I think the biggest smiles I've seen on my dad are when we have cooked him something extravagant for his birthday that he wouldn't normally be able to do for himself. And
yeah, so it's something like that. It's what we're talking about is, and challenging, maybe putting the challenge out there, is get to know who you're gifting, to know what kind of gift they'd appreciate best. Because the 5 love languages, or the 5 languages of love, whatever
Five
that,
love languages.
5 love languages, that's really about, it talks about how people receive love.
Yep.
So you can give the same way you receive love, but they may not feel as loved as you would receiving that same
Correct.
type of gift or
Correct.
whatever that is. So if you get to know those people and what they like, then you have a starting point. Then gift giving is no longer just for the sake of giving. It's actually it's helping them feel the love and connection that you would like to bestow upon them.
There's real meaning behind it. Like, isn't that the point, right? Yeah. Connection. We talked about connection, meaning.
Yeah.
Right. I think everybody wants to give a meaningful gift.
Yeah.
So we were looking at this. We're like, okay, like how do you really like wrap this up and summarize it? Well, everything we're talking about is kind of like an equation. Your intention behind gifting plus the alignment of the gift equals the fulfillment that you and the other party experience. So in other words, your thoughts, how you think and believe and feel about it, plus the actions, that's your alignment, equal the fulfillment. And you have to think about both parts of the equation, the intention and your alignment, the actions that are going to match or not match. Because if they're out of whack, I think a couple things happen. One, you overspend on things that don't matter, and
Right.
that doesn't feel good.
No.
Or you give and spend time, energy on things again that don't matter.
Correct.
Right? You lose the intention. You lose the reason for doing it in the first place.
So just putting that back into perspective of the Thanksgiving thing that we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
it is, our thoughts are, we want to show our gratitude and help our boys develop this appreciation for things. And we want to have that come to pass in the actions that we take. So for our boys, while they're small, we're going to do stuff at home. We're going to do activities or crafts or something like that. And then this tradition this year, and it may change next year, is instead of having this huge meal, it's going to be just a regular meal, but we're going to do homemade cinnamon rolls for breakfast.
Yeah.
And we're going to be together as a family and have something that we made and just enjoy the time together. So that is in alignment with what we want. We want to help teach gratitude. We're grateful for our ability to cook and provide this great food. And we're going to do that through cooking and being together, and it's great.
Yeah. I was just wondering which episode number this is because I got something for you to do as you're listening. As you know, we got a community question every single week. We want to know if you go to the babysinbiz.com blog, babysinbiz.com / I think this is episode 58. You have to check me on it, / whatever number this is. You can see the show notes and this community question at the very bottom of the page. It says, how do you handle stress around gift giving for the holidays? We're starting the conversation in the comments of the blog, so we look forward to seeing you over there. Let us know, how do you handle stress around gift giving for the holidays? Or, you don't have to answer that question. If you have other feedback or something that came up for you while listening to this episode, we'd love to hear that as well. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just think, the point of this is intention.
Yeah.
See what that is for you and see if what you're doing for your holidays is really meeting that. I know some families, they have two sides of the family. The husband side of the family, the wife side of the family, or whatever kind of family you have. Maybe there's two parties and all these different places that you go for Thanksgiving, and sometimes you're eating these huge meals, and maybe you're with family, maybe there's drama involved, maybe there's some way you can change it up and bring change to the family. And I think that what we're trying to say is what you're currently doing for the holidays making you happy? Or do you find that there are some things lacking and you come out of the holidays with kind of a hangover? And if you do come out with a hangover, that maybe it's time to address it some other way that could help you really meet those things that you want to come out with.
Sometimes the hangover is looking at your bank account and realizing, shit, maybe I didn't want to go that hard. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it from us today. We look forward to catching you on the next episode. And make sure, if you haven't already, give us that 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you're listening. It helps potential listeners just like you tune in for the next episode. We'll catch you soon.
Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Babies in Business podcast. Who do you know that would benefit from hearing this episode? Share it with them and post about it on social media. You can find the show notes for this episode, free downloads, and connect with the rest of the community at babiesandbiz.com. We'll see you next time.